What's up, folks? This is Justin from Books, Bricks, and Boards. Last week I did a video on Hyperborea, and the response to that's been really great. Matter of fact, some of the folks that have reached out to me and talked to me about my video include Captain Courageous of YouTube fame. Thank you for that. And also the man himself, Jeffrey Talanian. So if you would like to hear me possibly interview Jeffrey Talanian about this game sometime, let me know about it in the comments. But today, I'm going to respond to something else that I heard in the comments section. Overwhelmingly, I heard a lot of people say that they love the idea of Hyperborea as a game, but they struggle to find the right group to play it with. Well, as you know, if you've been watching my channel, solo role-playing is one of the ways that I scratch that itch. So today, I'm going to do an instructional solo role-play one-shot adventure going over character creation, adventure idea generation, and using the GM Oracle. So without further ado, let's jump over to the table. If you are enjoying the content, please be sure to like, share, comment, and subscribe, as that is the only way to gain enough XP for the channel to advance to name level. If you know, you know.
I don't get it.
Of course, if you don't know, there is a fantastic group of gamers over at Books, Bricks, and Boards University on Discord that are more than willing to share their knowledge with you. Join us.
Nerds! Nerds! Nerds!
Link in the description. My setup. Today I will be running an instructional one-shot solo run of Hyperborea. As such, this will be unscripted and probably a bit less polished than previous content. For my run, I will cover character creation, adventure creation, using an emulator to run solo games, and standard gameplay mechanics. For my session, I will be using the Hyperborea Player's Manual, the Hyperborea Referee Manual, the Hyperborea Atlas, the GM's Apprentice Oracle Deck, the Random Sword and Sorcery Adventure Generator by Ben Ball. Lastly, character figure flats by Hero Forge and enemy figure flats by Arknight. With that out of the way, let's discuss the process. I will use method 6 of attribute generation from the player's manual because I find it gives a stronger than average result and it guarantees I meet the requirements for my desired classes. Speaking of which, for classes, I'm running a Cimmerian Barbarian, an Eskimo Monk, and a Roman Warlock. These are my 3 favorite classes, and it seemed like a fun mix. To show a little more of the class features and to add a little survivability, I'm giving each character 25,000 XP to start, reflecting their experience and knack for survival. As they are not new recruits and this is a one-shot, I'm also going to give the Barbarian a 2-handed sword +1, the Monk 2 doses of the Dust of Death, and the Warlock a longsword +1. Other than that, they're going to have their class adventurer packs and whatever mundane gear I deem that they require. So let's start rolling some dice. For those of you that aren't familiar with method 6 of generating your attributes, you choose your character class first, and then you use the following technique. You're going to roll 3d6 for each attribute that does not have a minimum required score, and for those that do have a required minimum score, you'll roll 4d6, discard the lowest result, and for each time that you do not meet that minimum, you'll just re-roll the whole thing again. This tends to give you a little bit better stats, and like I said before, it guarantees you're going to meet the minimum requirements for your classes. Okay, I chose a name from the Cimmerian name list. I went with Scarus. And Cimmerians are, of course, the Hyperborea version of Cimmerians of Conan's variety. And they even have a deity named Crimir, which is very much a version of Crom. Barbarians in Hyperborea are going to be much more like the Conan-style barbarians. These are not the raging barbarians. These are more the multi-talented survival, high hit points, very good in combat types of barbarians. So not going to get a rage ability, but going to have all of the cool things like the ambushing, the climbing, the leaping, the extraordinary feats of strength and dexterity, horsemanship, great saving throws, moving silently, Remember, Conan was a thief before he was a barbarian, so this is the kind of barbarian you're going to get with this, and that's why this is my favorite barbarian in a D&D or D&D clone. So, minimums of 13 strength, 13 dex, and 13 con, which normally that's a bad thing because it means if you don't roll that well, then you're not going to be able to be this class. But with method 6, if I don't roll that well, I get to roll again and get something even better probably. So let's go ahead and roll in order. So I got a 12, so I did not meet the minimum, so I roll again. And I got a 10. I did not meet the minimum for strength again, roll again. And again, I got a 9. Did not meet the minimum, roll again. And that time I got a 12. Did not meet the minimum, roll again. And that time I got a 13. So I got the very minimum strength. That's a bummer, but that's okay. And I got the minimum for dex too. Another bummer. And did not meet the minimum for con. Let's go ahead and roll again. And I got the minimum for con as well. This is really working against me. Now, for my statistics, my attributes that don't have a minimum, I just roll flat 3d6 and see what I get. So I got a 10 intelligence. That's pretty good. And I got a 7 in wisdom. And I got a 6 in charisma. All right, I'm going to transfer over some of my bonuses to the attributes, and I'll be right back. All right, after transferring my stats over, I've got a 13 in strength, a 13 in dex, a 13 in con, a 10 in intelligence, a 7 in wisdom, and a 6 in charisma. Now, I could take 2 points away from one score to add 1 point to another wherever I would like, and I can do that up to a 17. 18s must be rolled naturally, but as my 3 other stats that I'd like to lower are already pretty low, I don't think I'm going to do that. So, with my strength, I'm going to get a +1 modifier to damage, no modifier to hit. I can do tests of strength for 3 out of 6 times being successful, or I can do extraordinary feats of strength at 16%, only because it's a natural 8% for a 13 strength, but I get a +8% to that because I'm a barbarian. For my dex, I get a +1 to my missile attack modifiers, but I don't get a bonus to my defense, which is a bummer. I will again be able to do tests of dexterity 3 out of 6 times, and I can do extraordinary feats of dexterity 16% of the time. Again, this would be 8%, but I get a bonus 8% because I'm a barbarian. For Constitution, I get a +1 hit point adjustment per level, and I get an 80% chance to survive trauma. I can do tests of Constitution 3 out of 6 times, and I get a flat 8% chance to do extraordinary feats of Constitution. With my intelligence of 10, I don't get any bonus languages, so I'm just going to speak Common and Cimmerian. And then I have a wisdom of 7. Basically, I'm not going to be casting cleric spells, but my charisma is only a 6. So I will get a -2 to any reactions or loyalty adjustments if I am the one interacting. He can also only have 2 maximum henchmen, and he has a -1 to his turning ability if he was a cleric. And fortunately, he is not. Barbarians do get a D12 for their hit points, and with the 25,000 XP that I provided each of the characters, he will be level 5. So I need to roll a d12 5 times and add 5 to it for my Constitution. Let's see what I get. Okay, so 12, 19, 26, 35, 36 plus 5 is 41. So he's got some hit points. Now I could randomly roll height, weight, age, and all that, but I am just going to go with some standards that I often use. He's going to be 6'5". He's going to weigh about 240. He's going to be male. And we'll say he has green eyes and black hair. As a 5th level barbarian, he's going to have a base saving throw of 14, but as they have the hardy ability, they get a +2 to each of those saves, so he ends up having a 12 for each of the saves. He's a fighting ability of 5. We'll determine his armor class after we get his armor chosen, and right now I'm going to roll for his secondary skills. Secondary skills in Hyperborea are going to be similar to what you would find in Advanced Dungeons & Dragons or Advanced Dungeons & Dragons 2nd Edition. I'm going to roll a D3 and then a D20 and see what he did before he was an adventurer. So that would be a 2 on a D3 and a 6. He was a jailer before he became an adventurer. And I did decide that all my characters would be residing in Cromarium, which is the largest of the cities in the world of Hyperborea. So that makes sense that he would have been a jailer there, coming from good barbarian stock, having the size and the skills to be effective in that role. So what that means is anything that involves being a jailer, he would have a chance to know something about, and that's just something to add to his backstory. To give you an idea of why I like this barbarian, here are a list of the class abilities. Besides having a great D12 hit die and having great fighting ability, they get Agile, which is +1 to their AC if they're unarmored, Alertness, which is a -1 bonus to being surprised, Ambusher, which is a +1 bonus to surprise others, Climb as a thief, Draw Poison, Extraordinary Strength and Dexterity, which I've already mentioned, Hardy, which I've already mentioned, Horsemanship, Leap of 25 feet or greater, Move Silent as a thief, Run of 50 feet, as long as they're unarmored or lightly armored, Sense Magic with a 4 in 12 chance, Sorceress Distrust, which is the normal, you don't like magic users kind of thing, Track of 10 out of 12 in the wild or 3 out of 12 in the urban areas, Weapon Mastery at 1st level and 4th level, and further levels whenever you go up higher, but since this is a one-shot, I'm just worried about the ones that I've covered. Those are each going to get +1 to hit and damage, as well as additional rate of attack. They also get Wilderness Survival, meaning that they can survive out on their own. They can come up with food, shelter, whatnot when they're out in the wilderness, which could be very valuable. All right, Scarus is done. We've added a 2-handed sword +1. We made that a Weapon Master weapon. We also added a short bow, which we gave him Weapon Mastery in as well. We've got his attack rates and all that. We've got the combat matrix down here, which for those of you that aren't used to using descending AC, this is how I always played the game. I always had this down at the bottom of my sheet, so I didn't have to do really any math. I just looked at whatever the AC was and then what number I needed to roll. Additionally, I put down all the information from the Barbarian pack and I gave him an extra 50 gold because he's 5th level. That is Scarus. Alright, for this next character, we're going to go with Siku, who is an Eskimo, also from Cromarium, and he worships Cthulhu because the Eskimo in this game are wont to do that. The attributes that have minimums are going to be Strength, Dexterity, and Wisdom. Those minimums are only 9, so the chances that I roll below that with 4 and drop the lowest are going to be low, but still might get some rerolls here. So we got Strength, and I got a 9. Not off to a great start. Dex. And I got a 17 Dex. I am really happy with that. Oh, whoops. I only get 3 on Constitution. And I got an 11 for Con. Only get 3 for Intelligence. I got a 10 for Intelligence. 4 drop the lowest for Wisdom. And I ended up with a 9. Not rolling great. And Charisma. I got an 8. So far, I am not that liked. Alright, so I went ahead and wrote all of my statistics down. So with a strength of 9, I'm going to have a 2/6 chance of a test of strength. Only 4% chance of an extraordinary feat of strength. With a dexterity of 17, I would get a +2 to my attack modifier, with a missile weapon, a +1 to my defense, a 4 out of 6 chance of a test of dexterity, and a 32% chance of an extraordinary feat of dexterity because I get a +8% as a monk. With an 11 in con, I'm getting no bonus to hit points, no bonus to radiation adjustment, 75% chance of survival, 2 in 6 chance of a test of constitution, only a 4% chance of an extraordinary feat of constitution. Then with a 10 in intelligence, again, no extra languages, 50% chance to learn a new spell if I was a magician, which I'm not. 9 in wisdom is going to give me 50% chance to learn new cleric spells, but I'm not a cleric, so I don't care. And a lousy 8 in charisma, again, not very likable. -1 to reaction adjustments and loyalty adjustments, but he can have 3 henchmen, which is 1 more than the barbarian. I need to roll for his hit points still, so we're going to do that. They're D8 hit die. So we got 9, 10, 16, and 21 total hit points. As a reminder, the barbarian has 41 total hit points, so it's a good thing that Siku's armor class is going to be a little bit better than the barbarian's. Siku, as a monk, is going to get a +3 bonus to his AC for being a level 5 monk. He also gets another +1 for his dexterity, bringing him down to the 5. He is going to carry a staff, but he's not going to really use that as a weapon much because he's going to rely upon his unarmed strike. He gets to take 2 unarmed strikes per round. He gets a +1 bonus to hit because at 5th level his weapon or his unarmed strike is considered a magical attack and gets a +1 bonus to hit. He does 2d4 damage with that strike, and if he uses his cestus, then he gets an additional +1 to damage. He's also carrying a sling. He may use that, may not. But one of the cool parts about the monk is you get all these special abilities, which a lot of the classes in Hyperborea do have a big pile of special abilities, which is one of the things I like about the class layout. I can block missiles up to 5 times per round, that's once per level, by making an avoidance save. His avoidance save right now is a 12, so reasonable chance. I can heal up to 10 hit points per day just by laying on hands like a paladin. Once per week I can cure disease, again kind of like a paladin. I can fall up to 50 feet with no damage. I've already told you about the AC bonus. I can detect secret doors, 3 in 6 chance. Have extraordinary dexterity, run like the barbarian, so both of them are going to be faster than normal. I have superior willpower, so I get a +2 to saving throws against mind control and that sort of thing. I get an extra weapon skill at 4th level, so I took two-handed sword because there's very few weapons the monks aren't already proficient with. I can speak with animals once per day. I can feign death, and I can climb, discern noise, hide, and move silently as a thief of similar level. I have all of the equipment that comes with a starting kit, plus I have 2 times doses of Dust of Death, which is a magical item. I gave him 50 gold pieces because he is 5th level, and that is Siku. Alright, now I'm going to roll for Octavius, same as before. He has 3 different stats that have a minimum of 12 in strength, 12 in intelligence, and 12 in wisdom. I'm hoping my 3d6 for dex and con don't ruin this character. So let's go ahead and roll. Know the deal. If we don't hit a 12, we re-roll it. Best 3 out of the 4. And did not get it. Got a 9. So we're going to re-roll that. Ooh, that's good. Got a 16 in strength. Okay. Stronger than the barbarian. I'm sure he's not jealous about that. Get 3d6 for the dex. Let's roll good. 12. I guess that should be roll well, but yeah, we're not being graded on our English here, I hope. And con, don't give me a penalty. I got a 10. Good. That's good enough. And then intelligence, we've got a minimum of 12, so we'll re-roll it if we don't hit a 12. And I got an 8, so that's a re-roll. And that's a 9, re-roll. And that's a 17 intelligence. That is a killer roll. Wisdom, got a minimum of 12. And that's an 18 in wisdom. That is amazing. I don't know that I really need the wisdom, but that's pretty sweet. And I got a 10 in charisma, so he is just quite the specimen.
Phrasing?
Alright, so pretty exciting. I ended up with 16 strength, 12 dex, 10 con, 17 intelligence, 18 wisdom, and 10 charisma. So Octavius here, my Roman warlock fire lord, is definitely going to be a prime specimen for the adventure. He is 5th level, and he is getting a d8 for hit dice, even though he is a fighter subclass. Warlocks get a d8. So, ooh, that wasn't good. Yeah, he made up for it there, didn't he? So we've got 12 and 5 is 17 hit points. That's it. That's all you get. He is wearing some scale mail armor and carries a large shield, so he's going to have a total AC of 4. He's got his magical longsword +1, which is weapon master, and he's also weapon master with his light crossbow. As far as his stats go, with his 16 strength, he's going to get a +1 to hit and damage in melee, 3 of 6 strength tests, 24% feats of extraordinary strength because of his warlock class and his strength. Dex, he's only going to get 2 of 6 tests of dexterity, 4% feats of extraordinary dexterity. Con of 10, he's getting no bonuses to hit points, 75% trauma survival, 2 and 6 test of constitution, 4% extraordinary feat of constitution. With a 17 in intelligence, he is going to get 2 additional languages, which I chose Camarian and Eskimo, so he could carry on in their native languages, the folks that he has chosen to be his party members. And he gets bonus spell levels at level 1, 2, and 3, which means he can cast an extra 1st level, 2nd level, and 3rd level spell, which for a warlock is doubling his spell output. He also has an 85% chance to learn a new spell when he tries. He has an 18 in wisdom, which means he gets a +2 saving throw bonus against mind control, charm, and all that jazz. If he was a cleric, he'd get some bonus spells, but he's not. And with a 10 in charisma, average is way above average in this party, so he's getting no penalties, which is better than the others, and he can have 4 henchmen. His base saving throws are a 14, but he has a 12 in transformation and sorcery. He has a fighting ability of 5, a casting ability of 5, as I said earlier, a 4 of AC with his scale mail and large shield. He is only moving at 30 feet because of his armor. He has a damage resistance of 1, meaning he's going to knock 1 off of any damage roll. And let's go to some of his special abilities. As a Fire Lord Warlock, he has magic item use as a magician, read magic, scroll use, but only pyromancy scrolls, and he gets weapon mastery at 1st and 4th level, so I took the longbow and the light crossbow. As far as his gear goes, other than his longsword +1, everything else is pretty standard for a starting warlock, except for I gave him 50 gold pieces. For 1st level spells, he knows Burning Hands and Flaming Missile. 2nd level spells, he knows Fire Web and Invisibility. In 3rd level spell, he knows Fireball. Since I can cast 2 of each of these per day because of my high intelligence, I am going to say I have got 2 memorized of Flaming Missile, 2 memorized of Invisibility, and of course 2 memorized of Fireball. So there are Siku, Scarus, and Octavius, the monk, the barbarian, and the warlock, and they are ready to adventure. And speaking of adventure, we're going to roll on the Random Sword and Sorcery Adventure Generator. This is available on the Hyperborea.tv website. It is by Ben Ball. He is a fan creator, and a lot of his stuff is available through that website. And so I'm going to roll a d20 for the first part of the title of my quest. I got a 17, the Sword of Sorcery. And my mission, should I choose to accept, will be to recover and then roll a thing to be recovered. Recover a mask. The hook is that I need to read an ancient scroll or tablet. The antagonist is a cult leader. A potential ally could be a friendly witch. A complication is that a local festival creates atmosphere of riot and license. An obstacle, roaming savage beasts. And a twist, the entire adventure is the gist of a mad god. So that is our adventure, the Sword of Sorcery, looking to retrieve this ancient mask, but I have to get an ancient scroll and read it to find out where to find this, and it's held by some cultists, but there could be a friendly witch that could help, but unfortunately, because we are part of the, or doing this as during the lunar celebration, then we will have to deal with all of the extra distractions that go along with that, and there are roaming beasts. So we'll have to figure out what that means. All right, referencing the referee manual and then going back to what I rolled for the random quest, the Sword of Sorcery, said I was supposed to retrieve a mask and that it was going to be during a festival, which was going to complicate things. An ancient ally, or an ally could be an ancient witch. I was going to have to read some ancient scroll or tome that was held by cultists. And there would be roaming beasts, and it was all going to be a ploy of a mad god. It was going to be a trick. So I think what I'm going to do is, this is going to take place during Saturnalia, which is a festival that was celebrated by real-life Romans. But in Hyperborea, it is still celebrated, and it is built around the moons, and it is related to Sathakwa, which is the big frog god, the furry frog god from Saturn, who is somewhat associated with Cthulhu also, who my Eskimo is a adherent of. And the roaming beasts are probably going to be snakes, because it specifically mentions that part of Saturnalia is handling snakes. So we're going to be kind of on the outskirts of Cromarium. My group has heard that there was the Mask of Menelaus, the king of Sparta, who his wife being absconded was the cause of the Trojan War and a major feature of the Iliad. So knowing that the festival of Saturnalia is known for the participants wearing masks, having them looking for a mask that was potentially worn at one time by the famous King Menelaus. This would be a big deal if I'd heard that such a thing existed. My Roman warlock would definitely be interested in obtaining that, and especially if it's being held by some crazy cultists that are worshiping Sathakwa, which is kind of a rival god, though somewhat adjacent to Cthulhu. So we're going to run with that and see what happens. For those of you that have not played a solo role-playing game, one of the keys is going to be to have a good GM Oracle. And in this case, I'm going to use the Game Master's Apprentice. These cards look a bit busy, but they actually have a lot of great information. So, for example, you can ask yes/no questions with good, even, or bad odds. And it'll tell you yes, no, or no with an exclamation point, or yes with an exclamation point. You can get some reaction rolls. All of the dice are represented. You can get some runes. You can get elements. You can also get sounds, sights, touch, or smell. You can get random belongings. You can figure out what the reason for something happening was. You can find out a virtue or a vice of a character. You can get a random location, and you can get some random names. There's also some random icons here. There are your standard for an oracle words. So the verb here is grow, uncertain is an adjective, and then path is the noun. Again, verb antagonize, adjective is ancient, and noun is relative. So if you need random context generation, that's what these are for. All right, so this is actually take 2 because I found out that my sound wasn't working the first go around. So hopefully this one will go better and you won't pick up on my frustration with my technology that it didn't work the first go around. But hey, I get to surprise myself and play the same quest again with different results. So here we go. My characters are Scaris and Siku and Octavius, those being the barbarian, the monk, and the warlock. They are all from the capital city of Chromarium, the biggest city in Hyperborea, and they have found that the Sword of Sorcery mission is to retrieve the Mask of Menelaus. I think being that Mr. Octavius is a Roman, he would be particularly interested in this. The Menelaus was the king of Sparta, and it was his wife that was stolen that started the Trojan War. And as a result, this would be very important to him. You see, in the Festival of Saturnalia, it is very common to wear masks. And he has heard in his reading, as he is a bookbinder by trade, that this cult on the outskirts of Chromarium has potentially found this mask of Menelaus, and they're using it in their festival. And we would like to get that back because no dirty cultist deserves to have the mask of a king. And so we are going to try to find the cultists that would have this. We might have to read a scroll or a tome of some sort. I think maybe we read the tome to find where they're at. And with my 17 intelligence for Octavius, I think there's a 5 in 6 chance we can find it by doing a little research. We got a 2. So yeah, we're gonna be able to find them by researching in the library in Chromarium, and we kind of know enough about this festival, and we know the best place for the moonlight to hit, as this is a lunar festival, and where they would likely be at based upon the reading of Octavius. And then with our skilled tracker barbarian Scaris, we will have no trouble trying to find them. I think it's likely that we can find them. Is there any sort of obstacle on the way to find them, however? And for that, I am going to ask the Oracle. We're going to pull a random card, and we're going to say 50-50. Is there an obstacle? Even odds. No, there is not an obstacle on the way to find them. So let's go ahead and set up kind of an encampment for some cultists to be celebrating Saturnalia. Now, being that Saturnalia is a festival which revolves around debauchery and wanton destruction and chaos, as a result of being associated with Sophocles largely, I am thinking that we are catching them early in their celebrations so as to avoid all of that good stuff for keeping this channel a family-friendly channel. So as I come upon this group of cultists, I need to find what, let's say, do they even notice me? I think that it's pretty unlikely that they would, because they're kind of distracted with their getting ready to put a pig on the spit, and they are looking to eat and start their celebration off proper. And so I think it's very unlikely, especially with 2 of my characters being extremely stealthy, that being the monk and the barbarian. So I'm pulling one out of the middle of the deck, and I'm going to say unlikely. Do they notice me? Unlikely being bad odds, and no, they do not notice me. So then I am going to kind of observe for a little bit and see what they're doing. And I think they're, like I said, they're getting ready to put the pig on the spit, and they're getting ready to eat, and they're getting ready to probably do some more drinking. And so I am going to ask, is there anything unusual? And I'm going to try to see if I can pull an adjective card and random card, adjective. Ooh, I got diabolical. Huh. So they are getting ready to eat. They are roasting a pig, celebrating Saturnalia. Saturnalia kind of looks at Sethakwa's journey to Hyperborea from Saturn. I think that I've got something. So I think that when they go to kill the pig to put it on the spit, it's actually a devil swine. And devil swine and Hyperborea are very powerful beasts, and they love human flesh. And so they can shapeshift as well. So I think it surprises them and it gores the three closest immediately, killing them. These are just humans after all. And I think the others need to take a morale check. And they got a 10. All right. So they're definitely breaking morale. So they're running. And the devil swine maybe starts to go after them and then sniffs. And it smells that fresh Cimmerian meat, being the barbarian in his big 6'5" frame. That's quite a meal. So let's go ahead and roll some initiative, and I will pull the devil swine stats up in the referee manual. All right, so we'll roll initiative for the heroes. Got a 6. Devil swine got a 1. So going to get to go first with our characters. Let's see how many hit points the devil swine has. He has 9 hit dice, so we're going to roll 98s. So 10, this was an 8, so 24, 28, and then 4 more. 34 plus 12, so 46. So we've got 46 hit points for the devil swine. Devil swine is immune to mundane weapons. However, each of my characters is wielding either a magical weapon or their unarmed attacks count as magical. So there's no grid here, so I'm just saying each inch is 5 feet. So we can go. So the halfling and the barbarian have a regular move of 50 feet. So if they charge, they can get there. So the barbarian's going to charge. That's going to give up one of his attacks. The monk, I think I called him a halfling, he's actually a monk, is going to move to there. And the warlock only moves 30 feet, so he's going to move to there. I am going to say that the monk has got his cestus on, because I think that makes sense. That gives an extra +1 to damage with his unarmed attacks. And it doesn't really impede anything else he would be doing. He knows he's headed for trouble, so that makes sense. So the barbarian needs to hit an AC of 3. He's going to get a +2 to damage if he hits, but he has a -2 to his AC because of his charge. So he got a 3. He missed. These guys have already moved. They can do a double move. They're going to run, actually, since they aren't going to attack. So they'll get into contact. The devil swine will take his 1 attack. Now he's got a charm person spell, which might be interesting. Make them take a save against sorcery or be charmed. Potentially make them think that the devil swine is their friend. No, I think he's going to try to gore the barbarian because he's hungry. So he got an 8, and he has a fighting ability of 9. and he only needed a 5. So he hits. Barbarian starts with 41 hit points, but he takes 5. That puts him down to 36. That is the Devil Swine's turn. So turn 2, Barbarian's going to get, actually he won't go first, it actually goes by dexterity if they're on the same side. So Siku is going to go first, as he's got a 17 dexterity. He gets 2 attacks. He is attacking a AC of 3, so by his combat matrix, he would need to get a 13, but he actually has a +1, so he only needs to get a 12. First attack hits. He's going to do 2d4 +1 damage because he gets a +1 for his cestus. Again, he counts as a magical weapon because as a 5th level monk you get that. So he did 6 + 1, 7 points of damage. Brings the swine down to 39 hit points. His second attack, he still needs a 12 to hit. Missed. So then next up will be the Barbarian. This is second turn. Normally the Barbarian has weapon mastery, so he gets 2 attacks the first turn, 1 attack the second. Since he charged, he forewent one of his attacks the first turn, so he's still getting 1 this turn. 4, he's going to miss again. Then the Warlock with his shield and sword, he's going to attack with his sword. He has weapon mastery with his sword. And his roll would need to be a 12 to hit an AC 3, but he's got a +1 magical sword. He's a weapon master, and he gets a +1 to hit for his strength of 16. So he needs a 9 to hit, and he gets 2 attacks because this is the first round he is attacking. So he hits on the first one. 5 + 3, so 8 damage, brings him to 31. And second attack, and that was exactly what he needed. So 11 damage on the second attack. Wow, the swine is getting sliced and diced by the intrepid adventurers, this time by the magical longsword of the warlock Octavius. Makes sense. He's searching for the Mask of Menelaus. This is kind of his quest. And he's, as a warlock, probably the most familiar with this devil swine situation. So that was his turn. That's everybody on the good guy's turn. So now it is the devil swine. Again, he could use charm. I don't think that would help him here, really. So he is going to attack the barbarian again. 7, and that is going to be enough to hit the barbarian's AC. So he's doing 8 points of damage, which brings him down from 36 to 28 hit points. He's getting nailed pretty quickly here. But now the barbarian is going to get to go back. But the monk gets 2 attacks every round. So a 9, he needed a 13, he needed a 12. So he missed. Second one, 19, that'll hit. So with his unarmed attacks using his cestus, he does 5 points of damage, bringing it to a 15 remaining hit points, cracking the thing in the head with his empty hand, probably saying some sort of a chant that keeps him in the moment as he does so. Next up is going to be the barbarian. He will get 2 attacks this turn. And he hits with the first one. He does 3d4 damage plus 3 for his strength, his weapon mastery, and his magical 2-handed sword. So 5 plus 3, 8 damage. So it leaves it at 7, hacking off a bit of the devil swine's snout, perhaps. And then Second attack for the Barbarian is a 20. Okay, this is cool. So there are critical hit rules in Hyperborea, and the critical hit rules I actually really like. They're simple, but they have a real impact on the game. I had to find them real quick. They're actually on my screen in the background here. So there's a column for fighter classes. I roll a d6 to see what the multiplier is. You got a 5, so times 3 damage for a fighter. So I'm going to roll my 3d4. I got a 4, 4, and a 2. That's 10. Times 3 is 30, plus my modifier of 3. So I did 33 damage. So I think that Scarus the Barbarian, he brings back his massive two-handed sword and cleaves in half the foul beast and mutters something like, "Back to the depths of Hades with you, foul beast."
Who wants some?
And as I do so, I kind of look around and I say, okay, well, what does this mean? Or I don't think there's much chance that that the Mask of Menelaus is going to be found so simply. Let's see, what do I see that is of importance to the quest right now? I'm asking the Oracle. I'm going to pull a card at random. And poison, haphazard beast. So, poison, haphazard beast. Okay. So, and normally you would grab 3 different cards to come up with the verb, adjective, and noun, but I just grabbed them all off one this time, and it came up with something interesting. Now, Saturnalia, when I read about it in the referee book, did talk about snake handling being a part of that festival, and poison, haphazard beast. I think maybe I see a trail. The barbarian does. He sees a trail that of a slithering, huge serpent that leads back, maybe into a cave. Yeah, a cave behind this hillside. So let's see what we can do with that. So there's a cavern behind the hillside, and I've tracked this serpent back there. And thinking about this is night, it is a full moon, but I'm going to be going into a cavern. So I think that Siku is going to grab a torch and light it from his pack so he can provide light for the party. It's going to take away any chance of surprise that we might have, but then we're going to travel into the cavern, and we're going to put the Warlock and the Barbarian up front so as to not lose the torch, which could be a problem. And so when we enter into the cavern, I'm going to do 3 different cards. We're going to do verb, adjective, noun, and we're going to go 1, 2, 3. Verb, entertain new lies. Okay, entertain new lies. That's interesting because we know from our random adventure that this was a ploy of a mad god, and we know that Siku worships Cthulhu, and that Cthulhu is somewhat adjacent to Sithaqua, both being from Saturn, and so perhaps this was an effort of Cthulhu to madden one of his followers, to drive him insane. And as a result, I think that maybe we're not going to even end up finding the mask. But since I did track the slithering trail of a snake back here, let's keep going. Let's see what we can find in the next room. And we're going to go right there. And let's pull one. We're going to say, do we find the snake yet? 50-50. And 50-50, yes. Yes, we do. So I don't think that this could be a normal snake. I did say that it was a massive trail. So let me look at the referee manual, see what kind of large snakes we can come up with. Yeah, I think I've got one for us. There's a big snake right there in the center of your screen. And if you can't see, we've got our characters here. Let me maybe adjust the camera angle just a little bit so you can see all the better. And the snake, whoops, sorry about that. The snake kind of has us in a choke point in this cavern, which I think is perfect for what it would want to do. And I did look up in the referee manual and I found a giant spitting cobra, which seems exceptionally deadly and a good way to have a climactic moment in a one-shot adventure, a short one-shot like this one is. So let's go ahead and roll surprise, see if the snake surprises us. No, it does not, and we're certainly not going to surprise the snake. We're ready for it. Let's roll initiative. We're going to roll for our side first. We got a 6 again. That's great. And for the snake, you got a 4. So we are going to get to go first. And the barbarian is up front. He's going to use his two-handed sword. He's going to attack twice in the first round. Got a 19. That'll hit. Let's see how many hit points the snake has. The giant spitting cobra has 8 hit dice. So we got 8 and 10. That's 18. And 28, 32 hit points. So the giant spitting cobra only has 32 hit points. He has an AC of 3. He has a ability once per day. He can spit venom at a range of 30 feet, aiming for the target's eyes. If it hits, the target must make a death saving throw or be blinded. So yeah, there's that. So, and then also if he 3 times per day, he can make a death save or cause a victim to die in 1d6 plus 6 rounds from venom. So maybe the barbarians draw out poison will come into play. Who knows? So the barbarian hit anyways. So he needs to roll his 3d4 plus 3. So 11 plus 3, 14. Wow. So 18 hit points left already. The barbarian gets a second attack. A 12 against an AC of 3 is going to hit. So he's going to roll his 3d4 again, plus 3, 6, 7, 10. So he's down to 8 hit points already. Wow, not quite the climax I was hoping for. But on the positive side, the others are kind of pinched back in the back of the cavern, so they don't have an opportunity really to attack at the moment because the barbarian's blocking their path. I think for his turn, Octavius is going to place his shield on his back. He's going to keep his sword out, but he's going to free up a hand so he can start casting spells next turn. Kind of grab his components pouch and start working towards that. For his part, the monk, Siku, he's going to try to climb up around the edge of the cavern and try to get into a position where he can attack the snake. Got a 9 and 12. Yeah, 9 and 12. Yeah, made it. So even with his one free hand, he is able to climb up and get over to where he can attack the snake. I think maybe put the torch in his mouth, and he kind of climbed up the side of the walls and dropped down on the other side of the snake.
Right.
But that's going to take his full turn. So now it's the snake's turn. The snake, we have a choice. We can spit and try to blind a character, but with it down to 8 hit points already, I feel like we really need to try to kill somebody with our poison. So the snake's he's gonna attack the barbarian and rolls a 6, and with a fighting ability of 8 and needing to hit a AC of 6, he hits just barely. So he hits. He does a d6 damage. So only 1 point of damage, leaving the barbarian at 27. But he must save versus death, or he will die in 1d6 plus 6 rounds. So his save versus death is a 12. Let's see what happens. And I got a natural 1.
It's got a death curse.
So anytime this comes up, you really got to make it special. So natural 1 on a death save against poison that would cause death. I think instead of d6 plus 1 or d6 plus 6 rounds, it goes directly into Scaris's bloodstream, and he falls down and clutches his throat, and he's dying immediately. And that is the snake's turn. That brings us back to our other heroes, and we've got Siku, who is the highest dex on my team. So he's going to go first. He's going to get 2 attacks, and he needs to hit an AC of 3. So he needs a 12 to hit. First attack, missed. Second attack, natural 1. Okay, there are also critical fumble rules in the game, so I need to pull those up real quick. Okay, so I'm going to roll a d12 on the cleric table for critical fumble, and I got a 3, which is a bad miss. So bad miss just means an embarrassing attempt worthy of ridicule. Attack routine may continue. So the monk kind of swings his leg around trying to kick the snake and ends up maybe kicking a wall of the cavern, nearly falling down. Octavius is going to take his opportunity to cast Flaming Missile. And Flaming Missile is the Pyromancer version of Magic Missile. So he is going to, at a 5th level casting ability, he's going to be able to use 3 missiles, so he'll do 3d4 plus 3. And he does 7 plus 3 is 10 damage, which is enough to kill the snake. He only had 8 hit points left. So, we've killed the snake, and we know that this was lies from our GM Oracle and from the story. So as we search through the cavern, we're not going to find the Mask of Menelaus that we were looking for. We're looking through the remnants of the cultists' little alcove here, and we're going to provide Scaris with a proper barbarian burial here pretty soon, but we need to know, why were we led here? What was the purpose of this? And we're going to do verb, adjective, noun on 3 different cards. So verb, adjective, noun. To unseal recent wilderness. Oh, okay. So maybe when we came here, this snake was keeping in something. And now that we have killed the guardian of this cavern, we have allowed whatever is below this cavern to be allowed to escape. And it's all part of the Dreaming Cthulhu's evil machinations. And that is going to be where we leave off this Hyperborean one-shot solo adventure. Alright, so that was a very short combat-heavy adventure utilizing the Hyperborea rules and the GM Apprentice Oracle just to show you kind of how the game plays. If you've played Advanced Dungeons & Dragons in any of its variations, you're going to be pretty familiar with this right off the bat. But the thing is, Jeff has added lots of little tinkering with the system, such as the critical hit and critical fumble tables that he put in there, just the way the saving throws work, some of the class abilities, and it really does make for a different game. Also, the monsters that he has are very interesting and weird. You know, the devil's swine and the giant spitting cobra, the cultist, the whole bit. There are lots and lots of great things in this book. And, you know, I can't do it justice in a short playthrough, but I can't do a long playthrough. It's been a long week, but I hope that you enjoyed the solo one-shot. And again, if you enjoyed the content, please be sure to like, share, and subscribe. And until next time, this has been Justin for Books, Bricks, and Boards. Good gaming, and God bless.